tell me a little bit, how are new members engaging with the organization? What feedback have they been giving, and what have you been doing to engage with them once they're onboarded?
That's a great question. One of the things that we've been offering for the last year or so has been meet the new member opportunities. So we've switched it up a little bit. So you'll be seeing advertisements for meet our new member orientation or find out about FBMA calls coming up where you can join, find out what we have to offer. But that also gives members an opportunity to see me face to face, see Sonia, my assistant, face to face, possibly meet Manny, our social media and tech hero, and get to know him. And then from there, we go to meet the member, where it's just like this. I just have an easy 15-minute conversation with the member, gives them an opportunity to talk about their business. We put that on our social media platforms, and that has gone very well. People have responded very well for that, really great to that. And we want to give members opportunities to get in front of other members. We also have some highly curated partnership opportunities this year that we spent a lot of time working on with a pricing for associations expert. And that gives our sponsors opportunities to sponsor at different levels, at different events, whether it be webinars or it be at board meetings, or whether it is just across the board, a platinum sponsor. We're here to support the full association. That gives our members a lot of opportunities to get in front of other members through all kinds of advertising on newsletters, social media, website advertising, the kit and caboodle. We've got it all this year. So.
I think that's great. And I've seen a lot of that. I've seen one, the brand recognition and brand awareness for new members coming as soon as they join, they get exposure, right? So that's an immediate value that they're receiving. But it's also nice to see that the amount of really, you put so much effort into the amount of information that you're putting out. It's all branded for your top sponsors, really acknowledging them. And, when you're in advertising or marketing, you don't know which time your logo is going to get seen, that it's going to register in someone's head. So as many times as possible, whether it be through scrolling through LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, reading a newsletter, showing up to a meeting and seeing a logo, over and over and over again, you're creating those little visual moments that someone can then embed that brand recognition into their brain. And then it pops up when the opportunity arises, right? You
Right.
have to know they exist. Then you have to want to do business with them. And then you have to have business to give them and remember them when that moment happens. So the more eyes, the better.
Definitely. And that's such a great point because, we're going to hit you on LinkedIn, we're going to hit you on Instagram, we're going to hit you on Facebook, as well as through the website and our newsletter, which comes through a company called Naylor Advertising. So you're going to get a lot of hits from a lot of different places when you are advertising with us, whether through a partnership or through Naylor. So
Such a beautiful investment that has so much value behind it, and it's a no-brainer,
yeah.
especially for someone looking to break into the industry or making their name known within the industry.
And one of the things we have launched just recently, there hasn't been a lot of advertisement around this, but one of the things we have launched is an individual membership for $195. So if you can't convince your boss that this is what's best for your company, this is definitely what's best for you. We made it affordable. For $195, you still get member pricing. A golf foursome is going to pay for that right off the bat. So, when we have a golf event come fall, and you're going to want to sign up and buy tickets, you're going to definitely want that individual member pricing for sure.
That's exciting. Tell me a little bit about some of the other events that you have coming up, like the Women's Summit.
So the Women's Summit, one of the things I'm most excited about, it's going to be in September at Margaritaville in Orlando, is I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. So yes, I am guilty of picking location. Um, but not besides the location, one of the things I'm most excited about is that we're going to be having students there, young women who have gone through a Future Builders program, who are either seniors in high school or fresh out of high school or in a college program, to talk and to mix and mingle with the seasoned professionals who are going to be attending to talk about what it's like to be a young woman in the workplace. And I think that's going to be an excellent opportunity for, again, mature, seasoned women who have been doing this for a while to really talk to young women and say, you know what, this worked for me. When I was in a meeting and that happened to me, or somebody said that to me, this is how I responded, and this is what worked. And I think that's an excellent opportunity for young women to also see what else is out there. What career paths are out there? Where do I see myself in 5, 10 years? Can I see myself doing what this woman was talking about? So I'm very excited about that. I'm very passionate about our youth and education, as I mentioned. And so I think this is going to be an excellent opportunity for those that kind of mind meet for sure.
I totally agree. And I think it's a great photo op, if you will, for some larger organizations that are trying to really demonstrate that women inclusion and diversity is not just a day on the calendar that they post something can. This is something that they're actually doing, right? They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting their time and energy towards doing something that directly interfaces, not just a Canva post that says we support women with some stock photography. This is
Right.
actually an opportunity for the top executives that are female, or that those that really champion and mentor females, to show and to do the thing, not just talk about the thing, but to do the thing.
Yes.
You had mentioned in the last prep meeting that we were talking about maybe interviewing, having the audience interview the panel, and I thought that was genius, like the reverse Q&A. And I thought
Yes.
that was a really out of the box. I've never seen that before, and I thought you would tell me more about that.
So, we had kind of thought that possibly the students would sit on a panel and the audience could interview them about why they are choosing this path. And I thought that would be an interesting way to get that back and forth communication, get this dialogue going. Um, and I think that we're already getting women very excited about this, and I think that that is going to be the highlight. I really do. I think having these students there is going to be the highlight. We're reaching out to companies who produce PPE specifically for women. This is such an important issue. My brother-in-law works in commercial safety, and you know, PPE that does not fit right is dangerous. And women do not have the same body types as men. And what fits a man is not going to fit a woman, especially for shoes. Steel-toed shoes or
Yeah, I sent you the name for that one, the shoe manufacturer that's specifically for women.
yeah,
And yeah, I think all too often they just hand us a pink hard hat and go, look, this is for you.
yes, yes, definitely.
It's like, you're
Yes,
not getting the point.
no,
So
no.
I think that was genius, and long overdue to really make sure that we're featuring the real underdog manufacturers
Yes.
that's not easy for them, right? They're very niche in their market, and if we could, make sure that we're learning about them. We don't know what we don't know, and if we don't show
Yeah.
up to an organization like this, to a meeting like this, we wouldn't know, we wouldn't have exposure to it, or they wouldn't have exposure to our audience. So I think that's so valuable. One other thing was, I didn't know, and then going back to, thinking about Stephanie, is I didn't know what engineered wood was. I didn't know that you could you could work in sales for ABC Supply or Home Depot and have exposure to all different types of building materials. I didn't know, when making my career selection, the options that were available to me.
Hmm.
And the more rooms that we know about, or the more rooms that we can have access to.
Yes. I 100% agree. And one of the things I love about building materials is it makes me feel connected to my dad, who I lost over 30 years ago. But he kind of raised us like a boy. And, the weekend trip to Home Depot, or back then it was, the local lumber store, Radio Shack to get your free monthly battery. Whatever we did back then, being in the building material industry makes me feel close to him. And I'm not afraid to swing a hammer. but I didn't know I could do that as for a career. I,
Mhm.
I would have loved carpentry as a woman.
Yeah.
But even though he taught me those skills, I didn't know I could do that as a career. And I think that introducing young women to all paths is really the way to go. And we may even have some experiential swinging of hammers at the show to test out some different materials. So we're talking about some different things like that too, which I think is going to be fun. Is
I think
Picking up
it's
tools.
wonderful the way that you're always trying. Well, one, that you're passionate about it. I mean, that's just obvious, right? I mean, you could see it in your face, the way that you light up when you talk about this business and when you talk about this industry. But it's there's ideas just flow, and you want to come up with new and exciting ways to engage the members, to give back to the community, to give back to the future generations.
Mhm.
That's really amazing, and that's contagious. And I really think that's one of the reasons I enjoy being so involved with the organization, and I get so much out
Thank
of being involved with the organization. So thank you for what you do for the industry and for being of service.
Thank you. I appreciate it. To commend you as well. You always put me in rooms that help me. So, Andrea is the mix master, and she'll get you in the room that you need to be in for sure, and talking to the person that you
By
need to
force,
talk to.
by force every time. No
Yes,
fear, no
by
fear.
hook or by crook.
But speaking of, you did the same for me. You put out a promotion to your email list of 10,000 subscribers, and the amount of engagement that I received and interest in my services for strategy was unprecedented. I mean, and no ad could have done what you did with one email. So that's your influence, and that's your access to rooms, and that's really what you get out of being involved and being in your biosphere, being in your sphere of influence.
Definitely. And I would say that, for the $695 dues that associates pay, you get that right away. It gets paid back for sure.
Within minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
within the first launch of being announced as a new member, and the exposure that you get to it, and then you do take the time to really speak to someone and say, what can I do for you? And that I think is what makes all the difference for there being a value in membership. I watch them spend more on lunch, so
Yes.
that's not a
Yes, I want to be available to my members. I'm here to serve them and to make sure they have the resources that they need. It doesn't always happen overnight the way I would wish it would. I wish I could just, wiggle my nose and all of this would happen for my members right away, but it's getting there and we're coming into the 21st century. We've arrived and we're making
It,
a
it,
name for
it's
ourselves.
very exciting to see how much change you've been able to, one, think of and create the idea, but then implement it. I mean, the amount of things that you've changed in the short time that I've been involved with the organization has been truly amazing. I mean, I don't know how many hours you have in the day, but you definitely have more than I do, and you get things done, and you don't just talk about things; you actually implement them, and that's truly admirable.
Thank you. And I will say that a lot of that is due to our sponsors from last year really stepped up and um, helped us in ways that we needed to implement some of that change. So a big shout out to always to our sponsors. Yellowwood, platinum sponsor last year, Specialty Building Products this year is our platinum sponsor. And without their support, all of them, every single sponsor, we couldn't do this. And last year we had too many to name off the top of my head, and I'm not prepared, so I apologize. But yeah, definitely.
That's
Yellowwood,
amazing.
huge sponsor. Yeah.
I had a great interview with them at the trade show last year, and you just recently reshared it, and it was a great conversation. He says, I have to be here. I launch my products here. If I have a new product coming in, I want my competitors to see it. I
Right.
know I want to be in this room because this room is affects my year. And it's great to hear someone say that, right? It's great to hear someone say that you're the it event, you're the it organization where they know they get things done.
Right. Right. And Although we don't have a trade show on the calendar for this year, I think you're going to see new events coming up where we're going to be modifying what that looks like for us. What does a trade show actually look like for us? Can we make this more affordable with the same visibility? And I think that's something that everybody is looking forward to, and that we need
I'm
because
sure your members appreciate that as well because the industry has changed.
yes,
And no one wants to take a number of executives, fly them out, hold them up in hotel rooms, make them stand and wait and see if people walk by all day long when the world has changed. There's different ways to access people now, and we should be
yes,
modifying as an organization as well as modifying as what the brand strategy is, what the launch strategy is.
yes,
People buy differently now, right? And it's
absolutely.
important that you modify as well, and you definitely listen to your audience in that. And I thought that was really instant feedback. Like you saw it, you read it, you acted on it, and that was really truly very responsive of you as an organization.
Yes, we had to, and that's my goal. My goal is, as I said, I have an open door policy with my members, but the goal is always to give our members what they need and what they want, to help them, make their business succeed. There's room for everyone. That was one of the biggest business lessons one of my mentors ever told me is that there's room for everyone at the table, and so it's time to make room for LBM, for people in LBM. And we see you asked about some of the changes that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of acquisitions. That's the nature of the business, right? Some larger companies are coming in and buying up the smaller companies. The kids don't always want to take over the mom and pop shops anymore, but I think you should. Um, and it's
The
funny.
venture capitalists make it hard to they make
Yes,
it hard. They make it very appealing to say bye.
yes. And and I think with the onslaught of AI and we seeing AI take over so many positions, we've heard Elon Musk say the only thing that's going to survive AI is when you're actually moving atoms. So if you're producing doors, windows, siding, concrete, whatever you're producing for building, is what's going to survive. So that's why I think the kids should keep the parents' business in this day and age. But we are seeing a lot of acquisitions, and so we do have to respond to that. And how can we support those members who are growing?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And being on the pulse of the next generation of technology, right? It's not all timber. It could be a composite material. It could be like General Shale had the thin brick that they came out with that was easier for masons to install.
Yeah,
There's so much in the industry
right,
Justin LBM, Justin Lumber, right?
right.
Justin Millwork, just in engineered wood, just in sustainable alternatives. Whatever it is, there's so much there. You
Yes,
just have to really educate yourself with what all the different layers are, and it's endless. I always say
yes,
I use the expression all the time. How do you build a building in New York City? Well, there's one guy to build the ladder, another guy to stand next to the ladder, one guy to climb up the ladder, somebody to watch the guy climbing up the ladder. You have to understand that in major construction there are so many different layers.
hmm
Expose yourself to all of it.
yes,
Expose yourself to everything in LBM because your vertical might be bought out by conglomerate and conglomerate and conglomerate. VCs
yes,
venture capitalists might be coming in and gobbling up everything. But if you're involved with a trade organization, you can jump to something adjacent,
right.
and that could cut down unemployed time if you're a top executive and a high earner. They want high executives with that are high earners that have the same prospect list, the same
Right.
client list. If you can find out what that is, that can cut your job search time down or your career mobility time. If you
Yeah.
want to know how to get a big bump in your income, you
Mm.
can get that through being involved in these organizations because the opportunities present themselves when you're in these peer groups.
And another point that I should bring up is that just because we focus on building materials and building retail dealers are the heart of FBMA, it doesn't mean that we're limited. Contractors can belong, builders can belong, because you should be open to new products as well and see what's on the market. And this is how you're going to do it. And if you're building and a big complex and you want to get those best prices, you want to get right to the heart. And our manufacturers are here. So,
Sure, architects, engineers, structural engineers, designers of end, of fixtures, of end use, cabinetry, all of these different um, peripherals. There's so many offshoots, right? That it's just really endless.
def
So there's a place for everyone, and there's an acceptance of everyone that comes in. That there will be a place for you. People will find a way to create opportunities for you or open doors for you when
yes.
you're involved with the organization.
And there's a curiosity too. Oh, what do they do? And how do they do that? And where, how can how can I support them? There's definitely that feeling at FBMA.
Because if they like you, they want to do business with you, right? So once you get to the point that you get to know the person, you don't have to pitch everybody within the first 5 seconds. You can just, hey, I'm here for the camaraderie. And as you get to know the person, they say, what is it exactly that you do again? Tell me a little bit more about that. How can I help you? And
Yes,
that's always the moment. Yes, you can help me. Let's figure that out together. And it might be connecting the dots, like you said, with
right.
me, like I forge on and find a way, but that's because there's always an angle and a way to get someone who, if someone wants to help you, they can open a door for you. You just have to sit there and figure it out.
Definitely. And that's one thing that you do is you'll reach out and say, "Hey, do you know somebody who does X, Y, and Z?" And that's a way for me to connect my members as well. Is through people like you who might reach out and say, "I'm looking that I have a client who needs this. Do you have that?" And that happens more often than people think, that people are asking me for recommendations. And so it's always best to try to get to that face-to-face time in groups,
Mhm.
be
Yeah.
to get your face out there and get your name out there.
Well, it's always funny. It says, somebody who says, "Oh, I know a guy." In
Yeah.
most cases, you're the guy. You're the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
They know a guy. You're the
Yes.
guy, and you can get it done. You'll get on the phone and you'll make it happen. So that's truly amazing, and it's amazing what you do for the organization and for women in the industry
Thank you.
and for the future and the next generation. So
Thank you.
congratulations and thank you very much for the talk
Yes.
and for the friendship.
Yes.
We have definitely come a long way, and I really appreciate that.
I appreciate that too. Thank you so much for your time today.